education methodology and philosophy, right? But still, there is out there some Christian, great Christian thought, thinkers and philosophers, and then sometimes the people don't understand because they don't have a faith about God and they don't believe the Bible, but still, the Christian educators and thinkers and philosophers and then influence a lot on the Christians and other peoples, right? And we kind of skimmed through until 19th century's education, but right now we jumped into the 20th century, and in 20th centuries and three entities that are primarily interested in biblical Christian educations. What is the three different entities? First one is a purely kind of secular education and can produce speculative philosophical aims and then relying on the scientific and then pragmatic methodology. That is even though and there is kind of one of the entities is another entity here is kind of religious education. So theologically they have theology, but liberal and social objectives, and then rely on the scientific and programmatic methodology. It's almost same, right? So that's why they don't believe a part of the Bible is that they cannot prove, they cannot understand with the scientific approach. And another one is evangelical Christian education, right? And evangelical Christian education is education aims based on the biblical authority, still struggling with the extent to which scientific and programmatic methodology can be utilized. Yes, that's a juggling for the Christian educators and Christian education. And there we cannot abandon the current tendency, trend of kind of education methodology, right? So if you grew up with a public education, and then usually you are trained in the way. One of the ways is the Darwinism, right? Even though they are Christian and they don't believe the creation, instead they believe the revolution. It just Darwinism is Darwinism is plausible to Christians. Sometimes, if you read the Genesis, a lot of stories, and especially in creation stories, it's hard to understand, right? That's why, even though they say, I'm a Christian, but sometimes they don't believe, God created the universe. Instead, they believe evolution. And inside the kind of discipline of the Christianity, and then Christian scholars, there is like a disciplinary of how they integrate revolution and creation. Some of them, they don't believe the macro revolution, so totally like a monkey to human being, they don't believe it, right? But my kind of microevolution believe it. If you go to certain situation and then you can adjust that one, right? That one kind of accepted, and they have a different position though, right? That is a kind of juggling in the education. Just think about totally different secular education. And my daughters didn't go to a Christian college, and then both of them went to very strong liberal arts education system. My younger one, she has a very conservative, and I know she's smart, but she's very conservative, and then she struggled a lot. She struggled a lot in terms of her faith, in terms of the political positions. Yeah, totally different. Yeah, so you gotta know that. But religious education, if they are not conservative, and then kind of they try to find a middle ground between secular and evangelical education. And secular education, I want to call it general education is and dominated by the impact of the psychology and learning and human development nowadays, right? And psychology and sociology, social science is a huge factor in education. They developed their own methodology and try to raise kids, educate children that kind of a methodology. Who can learn after this one? And they have revolutionary presuppositions, and then educational research and theoretical study based on the scientific study of humans, right? So their behavior contributes to enhancing precision and efficiency in the practice of evangelical Christian educations. That's kind of we can kind of adopt that part, and then if we there are scientific studies and theories, and then just think about how humans develop. And I study psychology, especially developmental psychology, from the how they form the eggs and develop at each stage, and then baby before the born, and what kind of stage they going through, and how it born and how they grow. All kind of stages are really important to know. And then how can we use that kind of information to lead and guide the Christians, right? So maybe next week we can learn some specific theories and then see how we can do it. And the religious education is that one is kind of that's a religion, right? It's not an evangelical education. So this one is kind of this one is is aligned with theological liberalism, right? Some part, and they understand some part, and they believe, and they don't believe in miracles. And that's why, and creation theory, stories, and then Jesus Christ, the signs and wonders stories, they cannot believe it. And they develop, nowadays it's kind of a neo-orthodox, and then a little bit different from, and they kind of twist in somewhere, and then they develop their own, theology. Let's do the evangelical Christian educations. That is what we are talking about, the Christian education, right? And nowadays, church education is really important, right? Just think about Sunday school, and elementary, and preschool, and elementary, and junior high school, and high school, and college. They have a lot of their education is not about the art and literature and mathematics, but it's totally different. But still, in their level, they use a lot of the social science studies and then use them. This level, how can we teach about God? This level, how can we teach about God? Like this, and then your Bible. And there is a big things for children's education, for their faith, and then future Christians. And one of the researchers said that when the kids are in Sunday school and they committed to God, and they are most kind of proudest outcomes. So really important. So if they say, "Oh, I want to be a pastor, I want to be a missionary, I want to be a," they have their own calling. They're from the kind of early ages, and that one is kind of more than junior high school and college, and then kind of they kind of build up more than other groups. Right? Vocational Bible studies, and during the summer vacation and churches, a special event for the children, and then they have retreat, and our churches choose Wednesday night Bible study for elementary, and Tuesday night Bible study for the high school, junior high school, like this, and then we have a lot of for adults, and we have Bible studies and discipleship, and currently we have a lot of education system. But Christian education is impacted by the secularism and modernism on Christian education. So it's a lot of questions, because we are question about, and sometimes if we cannot explain it, just believe it. But sometimes some of them still dig and try to find a way like this, and then there's a secularism and modernism. It's based on the science and then reasoning. So if you cannot understand the way to those method, then it's hard to accept as a fact, right? So a lot of that's why schools kind of build up the Bible colleges, and then like Biola is one of the Bible colleges a long time in LA, but nowadays they developed university. Los Angeles in Bible is Bible institution for Bible, like this, and then that is kind of Biola. So there is a lot of colleges that came out. Nyack Missionary College and Moody Bible School Institute, and then Gordon College, and still Kevin College, and a lot of Bible college came, and then they provide liberal arts education too, right? And so Christian education is kind of little by little and exploded and involved in school education, right? They provided high school education and junior high school education, and just think about Lutheran. They have a school system in junior high school, up to junior high school, sometimes up till high school. Sometimes there's a Christian high school and junior high schools out there. I went to Christian high school. I didn't go to junior high school. Junior high school is kind of next to high school, but that's in the city. I'm from the rural area, and then I went to Christian college, and we had chapels and Bible classes, and then we have daily kind of daily morning devotion every morning, and every Monday we had a chaplain, pastor chaplain, and then he led us kind of worship and all kind of stuff, right? And just think about it. there is kind of a National Association of Director of Christian Education become a what? The Professional Association of Christian Educators, and then there is kind of a Christian Education Association there, but it's become a what? Little bit more inclusive, right? And who educator, even though they are not in the kind of association, but if you are a Christian educator and then professional, and then you couldn't be a associate, you couldn't join the association like this. And North American professors Christian education, so kind of there is more than 200 professors, and I know that I read an article about how it's a very, very little percentage of Christian professors in liberal art in university, less than 10%. During liberal art, and especially English class and literature, and then their perspective is so totally different from Christian perspective. That's why it's hard for them. So that's a challenge though. If you teach in secular school, and there is a challenge, right? And your perspective is too narrow, like this. You cannot do this, or you cannot prove this, or, but a lot of different issues. That is kind of those main categories, totally the secular education and religious education and evangelical education. So maybe one of I know that one of in America is one of the big Christian evangelical kind of education and institute is kind of in the institution also Biola in La Mirada and Wheaton in Chicago area. Golden College and a lot of colleges around here, small Christian colleges. It's a lot. What about the 21st century's education though? What is the trend? I got some characteristic of the 21st century's education from Dr. Chris Dew. He mentioned 7 kind of characteristics in personalized learning: equity, diversity, and inclusivity. Learning through doing, changing the role of the teacher, and community relationship, and technology, and teacher professionalized. That is what is the personalized learning? If you go to high school and different level of class, regular class, middle, and AP class like this, and regular class and AP class like this kind of depends on your ability, like that. And nowadays, educators are emphasizing the personalized learning a lot. So, and equity, diversity, and inclusivity. What's the diversity? So, when you go to college, and then there's how the system is maintained. I already told you, and around 50-60% Caucasian, right? About 20% Asian, about 20-30%, not 30%. Around rest of them is kind of black and Latinos are about 20%, and rest of them 10%. Like there's a quarter, right? I don't know that is kind of shows the diversity, but I don't know what diversity mean that they say. But equity is kind of equality is different. Equity is just think about it. I look at the dictionary though. Equity is kind of equality is kind of I'm 6 feet tall, and then my daughter is 5'7". Another daughter is 5'4", right? And then equity is equality is they are same, give them same foundation, and then if I tall, I can see far. Their foundation is the same, the equality. And my daughter is a little bit longer. My another younger one is shorter, right? They consider the different level of the distance. But equality is kind of just think about it. There is kind of they make a difference, same height. I can see the 6 feet height, and then my daughter is more 5 feet, right? No, 0.5 feet to be a 6 feet, and then added it and help her to see in my eye level. This one kind of give them more higher chair to see the same level, like this equality. Nowadays, they want to really emphasize equality though. I don't know how much it works in real setting. Inclusivity, it's a lot of questions, but they try to do. And they try to include other people who are different, right? And nowadays, kind of experience learning and doing through doing something. That is kind of important. And then change the roles of the teacher. Long time ago, when I was in high school, and teachers and teach everything on the backboard, write everything, and all backboard is turned to black and white, and then we have to write down like this. But nowadays, and then like Socrates and then question, and teacher's role is like a guide roles, kind of give them a lot of kind of a motivator, facilitator role, like roles are changing, community relationship, and then technology. Nowadays, you cannot go to school often. They like this. We record the lecture, and then you can watch at home. And like if you use a more developed, then you can use a Zoom, and you kind of log in at the same time and listen to me. Maybe we discuss and like this. There is a kind of a basic tendency of the 21st century. Maybe there is more, but and everybody said it's a little bit different. That's why I try to pick up the characteristics who have credential like a PhD or doctorate degree. Here is kind of a rough kind of a comparison between 20th century education and 21st century education. 20th century education is a classroom, but classroom presentation materials are typically developed, right? But 21st century, where? Inside and outside of the classroom. And a little bit different, primarily teachers, but with the student. And primarily developed together. It's kind of it's in a one way, 20th century education is kind of one way from teacher, but 21st century is kind of they work together, right? What about the activity? Focus on the teacher, presenter, and student audience, right? Students just listen and try to write down the information, but classroom activity focus on what? Students as a participant, agent, and the teachers as a guide or mentor. What about the classroom activity? Emphasize exposition, displaying, organizing, summarizing, and displaying information, but classroom activity emphasizing discovery and application, finding, assigning, and synthesizing and utilizing information mode application. What about the classroom is the primary side of the assess of the course content, right? You need to go to classroom to learn, but nowadays there is a lot of medias and electronics, and you can access any on-demand and not just linear, right? So anytime, just if it's a class, that's all. Maybe a long time ago, even though it's 70s and 80s, 90s, and they still have a recorded class, and then some student need it and they listen and they reserve or buy, but there is no online system, so they post on whenever you need it, and you cannot listen easily with the computer, but there is no like a system, no computer, right? And around the early 90s, and then when I was in Korea, computer came out, around that time. It's kind of, as a personal computers are individual, buying a computer is really expensive and they can use it. It's really. There is only the classroom is the kind of teacher and the student can engage each other. But nowadays it's student. In addition to classroom access, the student teacher have access to one another through what? Virtual. Online, email, and chatting, and social media like this. Anytime, you can kind of associate with the teacher. And this created kind of disciplinary boundary often established and preserved. That's kind of like this and discredited. And but there is now this interdisciplinary connection of encourage and display boundaries kind of you can talk to each other, porous and then even arbitrary. Just think about an education environment that is kind of changing and changing, right? So how can we in the kind of atmosphere, and how can we teach our students, kind of adults, how can we teach them? It's not easy, right? Sometimes, just think about it, schools and who got a fund from the government and they change fast. Who got funded from the private school and they kind of, their education environment is very, very better than public and better than Christian schools, right? Keep changing, and how can we do? Educate our people, our children as an educator. That is we gotta think about it. How can you use a kind of characteristic? This one is a kind of community relationships is more important, right? But nowadays generation Z, they will not be alone. Instead of mingling with the others, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna do everything by myself. A lot of they just play with technology and learning and everything, right? And how can we develop our professionalism as a teacher? It's not easy. It's not easy. But you're gonna keep it up, and then you're gonna develop yourself, and then you're gonna study more, have a deeper knowledge, and then yeah, I try to do, but so many things, right? So many things going on in your life, and a lot of things are connected. So when I teach this class, and then wow, it's a lot of information. But this is kind of an introductory class. That's why I cannot give them a lot of deeper information, but you could maybe learn from them. People learn from the other disciplinaries, but you can go back and kind of, you can draw the big pictures, and then whenever you need, and try to go back and study, read a book, and find more information. But you gotta get some information more, not just information, but just think about the writer, okay? That is a big summary of the historical foundation, how education started from Asian, and then Christian education started, and then and like Jesus' time, there is a Jewish education started, and then secular education is a Greek, Roman period, and then Dark Age, and then go to Reformation ages, and after that, and modernism education, and then we go back 20th century and 21st century. 21st century is kind of dominated by, 20th century is dominated by modernism, and then after the end of the kind of postmodernism coming up, and then that's why postmodernism tried to challenge about the modernism, the structure and knowledge and the reasoning, and that's why we are kind of now facing new generation and kind of trend cultures, and then we don't know what to do, and then but everything is related to our education, right? How can we educate people to discern what is the biblical kind of direction and biblical principles that to understand, and then what is the biblical perspective about that one? Yeah, that one is kind of really not just learn the song and just learn the Bible, verses each night. No, but sometimes we know that the context, we know that the what's going on, right? And then we can provide the Christian perspective. That is important things in education. Okay, we finished the historical foundation. Let's go back to, not go back, and let's study about the social science foundation. Nowadays, secular education is based on the psychology and social science a lot. And I know that the pure science is still developing, but social science developed a lot, right? This is especially they study about social structure. They study about the people. Yeah, that's why they try to understand people in scientific way, and they say scientific way, but we cannot say that prove. When I study psychology, and then one of the rules is in writing paper, and then don't use the prove word. I examine. It showed like this. Don't I explode. Don't say the prove. Prove means a kind of it's absolute meaning. Just think about when you have a experiment, and then even the brain, the research about the brain of the homosexuality, and then some people say that, oh, their brain structure is different, but some research said nothing different, right? I still remember that one, and I read about some articles, and the paper said that research said no difference, but teacher said that there is a difference. So how can you explain this one? She didn't mention about this part, and then she said that she needed to say that, oh, there is one research said that they found out that there is some differences here and there, and but others other papers and research and no difference. What is then it's kind of compare and what is the what's going on and what is the difference, or what is the more studies, and then give them idea about the study, comparison of the study to students, but they don't, right? And then there is a lot of problems. So depends on when we social science, we study social science research, and it's like there's a correlationship, right? And positive or negative relationship. Correlationships are like this, and then you go and more people like try to kind of tendence more the tendence, but like one people negative tendency is kind of a opposite way though, right? And like this, two people say, it's like more people kind of that as a trend, tendency has this kind of positive, and more people is not kind of disagree, and this negative tendency, coordination like this, and then that's a social science though. So it's not absolute, but they test, it's like it's from different from the pure science. My studies is based on the social science side, but it's not a qualitative, and qualitative, and kind of you set the whole experiment, or you set the variation and independent and dependent variable, and then maybe survey and interview, that's all, right? But qualitative is usually based on your interview. So you have kind of and open question interview, and then it means that you have a basic question is there, but depends on the situation. You can ask kind of a deeper information question. You can ask a question to get a deeper information, more information, right? Like this, and then there is kind of limitation is there. It's not study based on the a lot of correlationship and studied, and here and there, and then, but not absolute. But we teach the absolute knowledge of the Bible, right? That's the difference. But I'm gonna go over how they kind of teach based on the social science. There is a social science kind of foundation. Have you heard of behaviorism? Behaviorism is kind of explained by external factors and behavior conditions that can be used as a universal learning process. Meaning that, our behavior is kind of conditioned by outside, and then we can have outcome by condition. It's developed like Pavlov in Russian, like the 1930s, and then he's like that's a classical behavior learning. It's kind of conditioning, and then he kind of tested with the dog, and then he gave them food, and then the saliva is coming out. That's kind of whenever food is coming, it's the saliva is coming. That's a conditioning, right? That's why, and then later on, just food is come and you used to use it and whistle, and then just food when you give them food and then whistle, and then later on, even though you don't show the food and the what, you just whistle and then the saliva is coming out, right? There's a condition. There's a classical condition like this. There is a very natural responses, right? Natural kind of a natural and responses based on. But operant conditioning is the response is increased by decrease due to reinforcement or punishment. When I was taking one of the class, and then that's my assignment. Weekly, all classmates were assigned one of a red. Yeah, one red is assigned to the class, and then you go to lab every week, and then sometime twice a week or once a week, and then you go to lab and train the rat. So when the rat is coming to the bar, it's a push the bar, and then give your paddle is coming out, right? And then give them paddle, and food is coming out, and kind of train, and then automatically he can, he wants to eat, and then kind of push the bar, right? And then if the response increased by reinforce something, and then if they try to push the bar around there, and then you give them kind of food, and then try, and then he push the bar, and then give them more food, and then that kind of condition is formed, and then later on, whatever he wants to do, and then push the bar to get what he wants, right? There's the operant conditioning. So reinforcement is punishment is really important. So there is another thing is nowadays is another thing is our education is not everything is about reinforcement and punishment. And I know a lot of parents, if you have a good grade, I'm gonna give you this one. If you have a good grade, you can get a pet like this. That is this one, operant conditioning, right? I never use that one. I don't like this method, right? And especially this one is it's a lot classroom, and just think about and who have performed well, and they have reward award, and my kid was in school, and then they have a special tea time with the principals, and they acknowledge in front of the student, and you know that, right? But observational learning, Albert Bandura using this was Skinner, and then learning occurred through the observation and imitation of others. So think about it, and it's not just reinforcement, punishment, and sometimes devils come your condition is you cannot motivate people, right? Because of the overall or because of the reinforcement, they can work. What if there is no any reinforcement? They cannot work, right? That's why I don't like it. But observational learning is like that. And then once I was taking class about understanding Islam, and then one of the assignments is to visit the mosque to see how they worship and how they do. And then I went to mosque in Cyprus, and not mosque is kind of the place, not the traditional shape, building. And a lot of people welcomed, and some people is really not nice. And one of I still remember one of the men asked me, "What made you come here?" So he knows kind of, I'm a Christian, and then, he's not kind, like this, and one thing is really interesting was, and then I was sitting all the way back, and then one kind of a man bring the two kids. They are around 3 and 4, around their ages, and when they come in, they kind of bow 3 times, and then that's observational learning, I think, and then the kids, they don't know what to do, and then just watch the parent, Papa, and watching, and they bow all together, and then see the Papa, and then whether he's kind of get up or still standing, and then see, and then make sure see, and then when he gets up, and they get up together, like this. Try to see and, and learn. That's one of your observational learning, or that's a behavioral learning, right? So our education kind of like this, and conditioned, and then reinforcement, like whether it's a visible or invisible. Nowadays, nowadays behavioralism is really visible one, but nowadays kind of they don't really different, and then I don't know, but nowadays encouragement is one of the reinforcement, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and then that's why kind of here in motivation is a really important thing, and just think about kids and then how to motivate and help a student, right? So, and how can, maybe we can use that one is without any reinforcement. You can just ask to think more and to more critically and get the plausible answer like this, and then so always there is stimulus is here, and then with a whistle, bar, or kind of a paragraph, some example, and there is a response here. Something is a response here, and later on with whistle sound, imagine that food, and then if I touch the bar, and then food is coming out, and he got reinforced and keep doing, and then follow the daddies, and do it, and then he can maybe get the complimentary, and then he can learn what to do. Like this, that's the response, and then there is a consequences there. And then if you do good, there is a reinforcement. If you don't, punishment. But still, it's a lot, right? What about the constructivism? Constructivism is the idea that people are responsible in creating their own understanding of the world, based on their previous experiences. There is kind of a think about it, and new ideas, new information is there. How can you learn new information without previous experience? And then just think about when you learn some subject, like if you learn the histories, and then like education history, and then there is no new things coming out suddenly, right? There is nothing, out of nothing, anything, right? So always kind of they develop a little bit more, and then create new things. It's the same. That's a constructive. So you constructive, right? Just think about when you build a house, you cannot just put together a house once, but you run to the foundation. Based on the foundation, you construct one by one. Build wall, and all kind of loop and all stuff, and then you put together, and then you can see the house, right? That's constructivism. And this one is kind of just think about learners should be what? Not passive, active, use of their previous learn, right? Just think about, and then one day you just mathematics, science is a lot of it kind of together though. There is a sequence is there, right? And then if you don't know the previous knowledge, you cannot go on. Especially scientific knowledge, right? Like that. And then so it's really important individual learners kind of point of view, and then he's the main one who kind of process in learning.
혹시 쉬었다.
제가 중간 좀 쉬었다가 지금 하는 중이에요.
네, 혹시 차지가 필요할지 몰랐어요.
제가 한 30분 정도만 더 하면 되는데.
그래.
네.
30분. 그러세요.
네. Yeah, so learning is not just classroom activity, it's a social learning though, right? Think about you have a lot of experience, and then maybe scientific knowledge is, if you just a classroom setting, you can learn more, and then social setting, but your kind of knowledge related to life is not just in classroom setting. So if we learn something, if we want to do, if we need something put together, and then we can develop. That's a constructivism, right? There is kind of two constructivisms there: cognitive constructivism and social constructivism. That one is kind of there is a cognitive is you use the mental images, and then concept and principles there. So you can use some schemes and special skills, and then you can kind of agree, become similar, and then accept, or you could be equal, put together, and then what's the principle is there? Learning is an active rather than passive process, and then learning should be whole, authentic, and real to be effect, right? That is a cognitive constructivism. The basic concept is that. One of the social, constructivism is be Gosticky, and then there is a social interaction, and there is, just think about it, psychological tools and knowledge, and some, this one is like a dawn of proximal development, and then there is something in, as John is there, and then you can expose, and then you can learn something, right? And kind of, children. Always, you can learn some in social settings, and then develop your knowledge, and then just think about it. This one is more cognitive constructivism, is more theoretical, and social constructivism more real setting, right? But both of them kind of how you explain how you develop your knowledge and how you learn your kind of learn in setting. So we can learn this one maybe next week. So how we can use John Piaget's kind of his theory, moral development theory, right? Cognitive development theory, Holberg is moral development theory, right? So we can see that one, there's a cognitivism. Cognitivism is a learning theory developed John Piaget, and which is a child develop cognitive pathway in understanding or physical response to experience. And just think about it, how the kids developed their cognitive ability, learning, and then that one is kind of, it's really a little bit in learning, it's a little bit your mental process and activities are very important to them, right? With that one, and you cannot learn. If you're passive and then you don't have cognitive, you don't have a cognitive engagement, and there is no learning. Just learning is based on the mental process by which learner takes in, interpret, and store and retrieve information. Just think about it, mental process. Learning is a mental process, and then just information also. Oh, how can I calculate half plus half is 1? Right? Just think about it, and he take the information and then interpret, not just think about, you don't know about God and God is love. Oh, God is love. And then just think, why they think that God is love? Right? Because, any example? Maybe. And then you interpret the Bible verses and then see the Bible verse, understanding the context, and then what? Oh, you gotta store the information. Is God is love. God is jealous. Why? Like this. And then, whenever you need information and retrieve, God is love. Just think about someone is really abandoned by people, and then he or she need kind of information of love, and then you can say that God's love, like retrieving information and knowledge, right? Like that. That is the kind of something is certain, maybe certain situation is kind of stimulate your brain, and then what? A cognitive process that, and then can retrieve what you have, and then respond. That is a kind of explain. That's why the cognitive thing is that your mental process, and then organize and observing and kind of categorizing what's the different categories, and then forming the whole things, or the perceiving and interpreting, or everything is kind of your mental process. That's a cognitive, and so that's why it's really most effective through the reading text and lecture instruction learnings. It's a kind of 21st century kind of education is a little bit different from this one, right? Yeah, like this one is modern, it's based on the modernism. Yeah. So another one is humanism. Humanism is it's a little bit different. It's really, really different. That one is kind of focused on the individuals as subject and asserted the learning is a natural process that helps a person reach self-actualization. So scenarios and then role models are really important fact in humanistic learning. And experience and exploring, observing others is really important. So one of that is kind of based on the who human, how you see the human being, and that this kind of learning theory try to explain the lot of human problem and solve the problem, and really focus on the human virtue. So humans are good. There's unlimited potential to be good, right? And Taiwanese humanistic is based on to think about and Greek philosophy, and then Renaissance, and then modern revivals, and then especially really focus on human being, and human being a lot of people. Some humanists, a lot of philosophy humanists are good, right? That's a different perspective from the Christian education. So basic concept is kind of really student is the learner is really good. Good. It's not evil or bad, right? That's why just think about it, and how can you deal with the students who can you give the grade by your performance, or can you grade by your kind of behavior, human behavior, right? And what about the structure of the classroom? And so each one is kind of effective. So unstructured or structured. Mostly, I know when you go to college, it's still some professor assign you a chair, so you gotta sit on the spot all the time. But a lot of the times it's kind of randomly assigned, and you can pick whatever you want. And so really try to teach them so you are good and you have great ability to achieve something that you need. That's the way that they try to educate. And then just think about it. One of the studies was self-actualization and Abraham Maslow's, and then there is humans being the lead, and there is a basic need, psychological need, and fulfillment needs, and then just think about and physiological need: food, water, warmth, rest, and when you're tired, you need to rest. That physiological need, just basic need for human being, right? This one is everybody has it, right? It's everybody, but what about the security too? And safety too, right? And I was thinking about installing the security camera, because during the pandemic, my car was broken, and they installed nothing much, but they installed my business card, name card, and stuff, but they broke the window, and then I had to replace. And just think about security need. Everybody wants to be safe, right? You don't want to go to dangerous spot. You wanna go safe, secure, right? You want to be protected. Just what that's the basic need. Everybody has it. But just think about psychological need and belongings and love. You need an intimate relationship and friendship and just in the social relationship, right? And there is a kind of Eastern need and prestige feeling of accomplishment. And then how about you? How do you think about yourself? I know you are somehow really humble and you are really great, but still, I cannot do it and I don't do it, but still you can do it. I know that one. That one is kind of, humility is different from that one, right? But what about, do you have confidence over yourself? Or if you do new things and then you're never exposed, how can you do that? Or maybe you can, I can do it because if you do I can do it. But some people, no, I cannot do it, I never done that, and like this. Because I'm not that good at this one. Because that is kind of a low self-esteem. That is a kind of esteem and belonging, love, and then this is a psychological need. It's not the fulfilling for human being. What about your fulfillment needs, and then kind of achieving once your potential and your dream, what you really want to do, that you're achieving, and then you feel like proud of yourself? Oh, I did it. Kind of show for yourself, right? That's the humans need. That's the humans goes. Basic needs, everybody has it. Maybe more than some people, that one. If you go, different people, they don't think about that one, but humans, they're all unique. Potential ability, and you gotta achieve that one, fulfill that one. That is a human actualization. That's a human's goal, right? That's there is no God there. Maybe here, they explain the psychological, maybe psychological comfort and how to deal with this one. What is the good things about this one? This theory, learning theory. Human, just think about it. Teachers give them a lot of attention to kids, and then I'm the unique. I want to fulfill something because I dreamed it, and maybe teacher helped them a lot, right? Kind of they just think about as your teacher. How do you feel when the student try to work hard and try to achieve? When you really help them, maybe if you are a bad teacher, don't do it. Nobody gonna do that. Okay, you can do it, just do it. Yeah, like a lot of encouragement, and that's good relationship though. And then you can see what he needs more, what she needs more, right? Kind of individualized education, or extra things, right? What about kind of more, increase student engagement by allowing rooms, more choice and interest? Just think about, I want to fulfill in art. I want to fulfill in sports, like this, and then some more room is student to choose, right? That is a good part. So, student, meet the student where they are, and then, see what is the learning style. Learning style is, everybody has a different learning style. Some of them through the books. I like learning through the books. I read a lot of books and then try to figure it out, understand about. Some of them watching the media. Some of them numbers, some of them pictures. Everybody's so different though, right? and then promote their self-motivation because, I want to achieve this one. What about, those are the cons. What about, pros. What about cons? What about the student's introvert? It works. Introvert, just think about it when you come to class, they never talk and just sitting there and try to listen and just leave the classroom. Sometimes teacher must be willing to able to facilitate the setting. Sometimes the teacher is not qualified and then he cannot do it and then whole class has suffered. So teacher's qualification is really important. They are really people oriented, and then what about unstructured? What about and if you go too much and then really mess, right? What about in terms of your Christian education? We maybe say that humans are good, well, but not really. Yeah, I observe my kids and they are 2 years old, 3 years old. I never taught them to find each other. I never taught them to cheat each other. I never taught them to mean another. But they showed it, right? I don't, maybe it's a part of the human being. It's not, I know, the core of the human's heart. Just think about it. Can you trust a human being? I know sometimes we try to genuine kind of authentic education to help them to they'll fulfill their self-need, and then, but what if he behind has something, it's not authentic, right? This one is a little bit different one. It's connectivism, education theory, and then nowadays maybe this one is kind of explain how students learn something. Just connectivism is a relatively new learning theory. Developed based upon the idea that people process information by forming connection. Just kind of CIS, so computer information science like this, and then just think about information. So how can they process information, right? And this theory is kind of developed with the digital and technology ages. Just think about young generation though. And really visual and use a lot of technologies and then social media. They try to connect each other so this theory suggests that people no longer stop learning after formal education and continue to gain knowledge from other avenues such as job skill, and networking experience, all kind of stuff. And then just formal education is not all about education, right? Maybe that is about foundational education for the human being. I have to just think about, and if you want to become a doctor, and you got to study 4-year college, right? And then another 4-year study in medical school in US. I mean that 2 years you got to study kind of yeah, my one of the daughters studying medicine, and then she just finished 1 year, and then 2 years of whole day study, try to study whole bodies and symptoms and medicine, how it works, how can treat, and just think about it. No. And when they come here after 2 years, they try to get all knowledge, and then another 2 years they have a kind of an internship there. They go to hospital and sit down, and patient with the doctors, and they learn and seminar, all kind of stuff, and they still learning, and then wow. Think about it, their job skills. It's not enough. And then they go to residence, 3 years to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, and then you, after college, after medical school, you're going to work with the hospitals, and then see and learn and learn and learn. And my wife works in the hospital too, and she works with the doctors because she is a clinical pharmacist, and then in neonatal babies, and they kind of work with the residents, but when they come out, and it seems like they don't know anything. That sounds like for them, and nurse and pharmacists, and they work in that area a long time, and they know what medication they know how to treat it, but even though they entitled doctor, but they don't know anything. They don't have clinical skills much. Like this, and then just think about it, our education, and then keep going and going and going, right? It's a lifelong process. It's not just, and then just it's a good explanation though, right? Just think about it, and when you go to college, and then there is a student incoming your first year, and explain that, just think about high school and experience and how your counselor said you guys, and then when you go to college, and then just think about previous understanding of college and administrators, and then how they present their college, and how you heard of the college, and then just the previous information of academic advisor, and all things put together, you connect the information and what current experience of college, right? That is a kind of constructivism, similar to the constructivism, but still it little bit kind of making network in your brain, and they kind of connect together, and then not just one, but 2, 3, 4 information put together. You gotta have kind of explain the current learning and current issues, right? Experiences. That's the connectivism. So we talk about the five kind of learning theories, and behaviorism, and constructivism, and cognitism, and humanism, and connectivism. Kind of a series of the history, and then 1930 and coming to, it's a cognitism is around in 1970, it's kind of 70, constructivism 50, 60, and then humanism is kind of a Maslow studied, and then around I don't know exactly, but and connectivism studies like now there's a kind of digital generation, digital era, so we use the kind of do like this and just let's see how quick review of there is there is no the humanism, so I talked a little bit more before, but yeah, I got a kind of good comparison about differences, and then behavioralism is kind of main focus, the stimulus and response, and how you stimulate and how response, kind of learning process, and then what about the constructivism? And the student kind of construct what is their knowledge, learning, through the previous experience. What about the cognitivism? Emphasis about mental processes, thought process during the learning, right? Kind of you gotta do active to learn. You are sitting there and passive, and then you're not gonna get it. You don't get any information, and then while you learn some information you don't understand, and you gotta look it up. And I try to be kind of active while I read, and then sometimes while I reading and some word is popping out I never seen, and kind of I don't know the kind of understand the whole sentence, and then look it up, and then still kind of I don't feel it. I know the kind of I don't feel it, and then go different way too, and maybe some is kind of related to philosophy and theology, and try to look up, and maybe I know that's another in-depth kind of research, but still try to understand them. And like you gotta be kind of little bit active to learn what you wanna learn, and connectivism is like really building a network in your process, right? In your learning. And humanism is kind of really focused on the learning, right? Learning based on the what is give the human a lot of credit, because they have ability to achieve something, right? That is kind of different. There is kind of main andragogy. Andragogy is kind of adult education. So we said that learning is education is a lifelong process, and then that is nowadays is kind of popular. Andragogy, and usually the pedagogy is kind of like children's education, but nowadays this one is a big thing. Nowadays, just think about the technology is changing very quick. And what about older generation, and then they don't know what to do. And then sometimes, and then I know I try to learn something, and then I play a lot with the problem that I don't know, and try to learn. But sometimes to think about, I remember though, when I learned the Word, Microsoft Word, and then I missed one dot. I tried to figure it out, what is wrong in the 2 hours. That one is kind of a different thing. So that's why if someone is there and help me, and then just quick, less than a second, but there is no one available, and then I spend a lot of time and energy. So just think about it. If your parents are around 50, like my age is 60 and 70, and then they are really scared of the technology, right? They wanna do like all the fashion styles that you never thought about it. Anyway, there is a kind of a key concept. Key concept is there, and I hope, I can see the next slide. I already explained the key concept, and then maybe I don't want to repeat in a little bit different way. There is organizing the comparing. That one is kind of a little bit for education application. Look at this, and then there's a behaviorism, right? With the classical conditioning and operant conditioning and observational learning, there's a kind of different conditionings there. And then what is the? Learners can learn what they respond, right? If you do positive and get reimbursed, if you do negative and then you can be punished, like this one. And then positive reinforce and negative reinforce, and then there is really they really focus on the positive reaction, right? Reinforcement. How learning occurs. So the learning is sequential, and learners are viewed as a robot and content oriented. Yeah, that's true. So like a robot, and we are manipulated by conditioning, and just do this one and do programize. I don't know. Just content oriented education, right? Just think about something is kind of a content is there. You got to teach them, and then how can we teach this subject, right? And what about the constructivism? So really, that one is kind of known. That one is behaviorism is a teacher oriented, and then teaching centered on what and how. Really, you gotta know the what and how. But constructivism is the learner centered, right? Learning centered and what? Centered on how, why, what, how. Towards behaviorism, there is no how, right? But constructivism and based on your past memory, experience, and then why. So the why is going, right? There is and learning and context and social, cultural, and environment, and you can learn from and family and community and society. It's kind of learning really based on that scientific knowledge, right? Yeah, you can do it, but based on the kind of social, cultural, and then learners agencies what? Emphasize and task-based, right? Learners, yeah. So if you are a learner and then you got to think about it, and it's what? Really, you are learner-centered and really, but it's a task-based. Just to look at this and the place and role. The previous knowledge is the important, similar to connectivism and andragony. Output implies adjustment. So you do something in previous, and then what? Something's working and something's not working, and then you gotta kind of adjust, right? And then really experience is really important. So learning does not have to be sequential, like behaviorism, or linear, but task-based learning, like communicative language teaching or the task-based language learning, and then that's really some tasks here oriented right here. You're gonna do this one, and then that is kind of a thing, right? So you don't have a sequential, and you can jump in this one, you can do that, right? Always, you don't do this one and you cannot do this one, not like that. What about the cognitivism? Cognitivism is learning centered on why, what, how. It's the same as the constructivism. really emphasis on the thought process, your mental process, how you process your information, and critical role of the environment, and just think about it, and perception and behavior are actually rooted in experience and the thought process, right? So, I don't know, just a classroom textbook and classroom lectures and then open and disorganized, and a lot of people become, it's hard to focus on them. That's right. That's a environment is really critical role in the learning. It's a little bit different from the cognitive phenomena, the humanism. So learners is kind of important, like behaviorism, right? And then private, what is that? Prior knowledge is also important because it's task-based, and then amount of information can influence the ability to retain information though. So how much you can process during 1 hour depends on your ability, right? But the information and representation and retrieval, and that is a part of your processing, and experiencing is a view as a really educating, right? Zonal proximal development is kind of you develop the similar things and then learn, and then easier to learn. That is zonal proximal development is important in skill development and problem solving. Yeah. Okay, what about the connectivism? Connectivism is a learner-centered, the learning centered. There's no why. There's no why. Try to connect all information, right? There is no why. Like behaviorism. Learning occurs in a network or groups, and that's why maybe their communities are really important. But you don't have to go to kind of a community, but sometimes and social media and use of technology, and you can use that one. And then significance learning through new technology, Facebook, online learning, community like this, Zoom. What about the learners? Learners' network is influenced on his ability to access to information through social network, task-based, right? Any information you can type it and then you can do it. So like, I want to give you kind of introductory information, and I kind of researched a lot and Googled a lot, and then a lot of information popped out, right? But I tried to choose which one is which one is credible, and I always see the kind of the organization or the writer, and sometimes I cannot know where to get the information, right? And how can they prove? Not prove it, kind of shows, right? And learning is dynamic and changing according to network. So if it depends on your network group, and then if you have a good network group, and then you can learn a lot. But your network group is kind of laid back, and then it's hard to learn from each other, right? And learning is dynamic and changing according to the network, and network expansion depends on learners' dynamics. What about this? As network expands, the individual can increase knowledge, and rich network implies rich knowledge, and poor network is poor access to information. That's true. So if you dig more information and you can more knowledge, and you can kind of join the, so I try to join the really kind of academic community. They publish papers, and then especially scholars, and then the group tried to go overseas countries and teach, and through the teaching in their life, they try to and show the love of God, and then they try to develop kind of kind of relationship and partnership to work for the kingdom of God as a scholars, and like that. And then if you have a good network, and then good people and qualified people, and you can know more, and then you can maybe more motivated, and then that's a connectivism, kind of explanation of education. I know I kind of dominant learning theory from the social psychology and the social science, and then that is kind of, if we know that one, and then just think about how our education is kind of going on, and which kind of style is kind of helped me or challenged me, right? So which kind of, not everything is not here. I choose to kind of what's the main things a lot of people talk about. So when you educate, and then how can you use this kind of the theories in our Christian education? Some of them we don't need that one. The Bible and theology is enough, but sometimes we need to understand we need relevancy. We need to understand the context, right? And then just think about how we understand the better human being, and then we can get a better understanding of a human being, and then we can teach them, we can help them. That's our goal. So if you think it's a better kind of know the better kind of theory that out there, then just let me know. And then that's the kind of basic idea that they have in education. So maybe if you are interested in that, you can buy the book and then read, and then you can get more detailed information. But I think this one is a basic kind of concept, and then understanding, and then maybe you can know yourself better, and then which theory is really kind of plausible to you, and then what about your people around you, and maybe they are in elementary, maybe junior high, and young adult, and seniors, and depends on who they are. So our approach should be different. Our kind of methodology should be different, and we need a kind of different kind of person skills, right? But they don't think about that much about, and maybe there is maybe some we can organize it later if we have time, and that's just think about nowadays the teacher's role is not like a traditional way. You deliver all information and students come intake the information. Kind of a society is changing, right? You're gonna know that, and then our Christian education should be a little bit adjusted to the current audience, right? You cannot teach the same methodology to your children and to your parents, right? To the different generations. So that's why when you teach, think about relevancy and context, all right? So this is social science foundation, and next week maybe we can learn about how can we apply this in ministry, right? So we can talk about that part. So if you have any question, just let me know. We can talk about more, and then I know this is kind of it's kind of limited, and times and limited, and then we can cannot go deep, but still I want to get a basic knowledge of this one and then read more. Okay? Okay, have a great week. And